Rachel Zegler just made history with the longest-standing ovation in Evita, but instead of celebrating, she broke down in tears. Behind the scenes, Disney, and even Gal Gadot, are reportedly holding her accountable for allegedly sabotaging Snow White, a $370 million blockbuster that flopped spectacularly. Leaked reports suggest intense drama on set, political clashes, and shocking outbursts that could destroy her career overnight. Bodyguards, public backlash, and even legal action are reportedly in play. From a theater stage to a Hollywood scandal, Rachel's story has taken a dramatic turn nobody saw coming, and the fallout is just beginning. Rachel Zegler just sent shockwaves through Hollywood when she received the longest-standing ovation in Evita history, yet instead of celebrating, she broke down in tears on stage. The reason? Reports suggest that Disney, and even Gal Gadot herself, are poised to hold her accountable for allegedly sabotaging Snow White, a scandal that could destroy her career overnight and has the entire industry on edge. Internal Disney reports are surfacing with details that could change everything for Rachel moving forward. During her performance, she reportedly experienced a complete emotional collapse and needed bodyguards just to navigate the streets safely. Leaked footage shows Gal Gadot allegedly labeling Rachel a woke clown and blaming her for their $250 million setback, adding fuel to the controversy. As Disney's plans for retaliation unfold, the repercussions for Rachel could be far-reaching, marking a dramatic turning point in her career that nobody saw coming. Disney is reportedly planning legal action that could send Rachel Zegler to prison or force her to pay millions in damages. But the story doesn't end there. What emerges in the final moments of this saga about Rachel's habit of clashing with crew members and her rage-fueled outbursts is enough to completely reshape how the public sees her. To understand the magnitude of her downfall, we need to look at the events leading up to this moment. Rachel starred in Disney's $370 million Snow White remake, which spectacularly underperformed, earning just $142.8 million worldwide and becoming one of the studio's biggest flops in recent history. Her controversial political statements during promotion, including calling the original Prince Charming a stalker, and her ongoing tension with co-star Gal Gadot over Israel-Palestine comments added fuel to the fire. The backlash was devastating, with the film receiving a shocking 1.6 out of 10 rating, cementing it as a cautionary tale of how fame, politics, and Hollywood pressure can collide with catastrophic results. The fallout from Snow White has hit Rachel Zegler harder than anyone expected, with the film scoring a disastrous IMDb rating and only 20% on Rotten Tomatoes, and now 3 major industry players are reportedly ready to end her career for good. The situation took an even stranger turn during her recent run in Evita on London's West End. Witnesses say she received the longest-standing ovation in the show's history, but instead of celebrating, she broke down in tears on stage, a moment that shocked everyone who saw it. Leaked reports from theater staff reveal that Rachel was constantly seeking out her therapist throughout the entire run. Her mental state was reportedly so fragile that she sometimes collided with fellow actors on stage, sparking serious conversations about whether she should be replaced as the lead. And if that wasn't enough, the aftermath of the Snow White flop meant Rachel was being relentlessly bullied, leaving her in a state of extreme stress and public scrutiny. The backlash against Rachel Zegler reached alarming heights, with fans reportedly throwing tomatoes and other objects at her theater performances, forcing her to hire bodyguards just to navigate the streets safely. This isn't merely about harsh reviews, it's about a complete mental breakdown captured on camera. The actress who once confidently claimed that audiences would wait in line to see her films is now hiding behind security, struggling to cope with the intense pressure from the Snow White failure, which had taken a devastating toll on her mental health. And the drama doesn't stop there. Gal Gadot, who starred as the evil queen alongside Rachel's Snow White, has emerged as a key player in the fallout, allegedly calling Rachel a woke clown in leaked interview footage. The audio, which shocked many in Hollywood, shows Gal openly blaming Rachel for the disastrous performance of the film, signaling the start of a bitter and very public conflict that could further jeopardize her career. Gal Gadot has openly blamed Rachel Zegler's political stance on Israel-Palestine for the disastrous performance of Snow White, claiming that Rachel couldn't shut her mouth and effectively ruined their $250 million project. In a bombshell interview, Gal first reflected positively on the experience, saying she genuinely enjoyed filming and even having fun working with Rachel, laughing, talking, and sharing light-hearted moments, convinced that the movie would be a massive success. But the tone quickly shifted when she addressed the fallout. And then October 7th happened, and what's happening across various industries, including Hollywood, is that celebrities are under immense pressure to speak out against Israel. This revelation sheds light on the high-stakes political tension surrounding the project and underscores the intense scrutiny that has contributed to Rachel's ongoing career turmoil. Gal Gadot is essentially claiming that Rachel Zegler's political activism destroyed their working relationship and contributed to Snow White's disastrous performance. The tension between them escalated so severely that Disney reportedly had to hire personal security for Gal Gadot after she began receiving death threats linked to Rachel's posts. The chaos surrounding the film became so surreal that even news anchors covering the story accidentally said post office instead of box office when discussing its failure, a glimpse into just how tumultuous this situation has become. But what truly stood out from Gal's interview was her candid reflection on teamwork. The most important thing when you are working on a film is teamwork. And when you have characters like the Evil Queen and Snow White, you expect collaboration to drive the creative process. We didn't really have teamwork, and there were many setbacks throughout the project, which I found very exhausting. And here's where it gets even more dramatic. Disney, the second major player in this saga, is reportedly cutting ties with Rachel and preparing to take serious action, signaling that the studio is ready to make her pay for the fallout from Snow White in a way that could reshape her career entirely. Disney is reportedly preparing to hold Rachel Zegler accountable for the massive brand damage she allegedly caused. Insider reports reveal that the studio has taken sweeping measures, including a decision never to hire Rachel for any future Disney remakes, citing the extent of the harm to their brand. What's even more shocking is that, contrary to rumors that Rachel might sue Disney, leaked sources suggest the opposite. Disney is reportedly preparing legal action against her for breach of contract and promotional sabotage. This isn't just about hurt feelings. Disney reportedly had to hire social media managers to monitor Rachel's posts around the clock during the film's promotion to prevent further damage. The situation became so serious that producer Mark Platt had to fly from Los Angeles to New York for a personal intervention, reminding Rachel of her obligations and the severity of the consequences if the fallout continued. Producer Mark Platt didn't just intervene lightly. He flew across the country to personally warn Rachel Zegler about the stakes of the movie and her career, reminding her to post carefully. His own son defended the drastic action, saying, "My dad, the producer of a massive Disney property with hundreds of millions of dollars on the line, had to leave his family to reprimand a 20-year-old employee for bringing her personal politics into promoting a film she signed a multi-million-dollar contract for." And the numbers make the fallout even more shocking. Snow White reportedly cost Disney $370 million to produce and market, nearly $400 million spent attempting to modernize a beloved classic, yet it opened to a mere $43 million, with audiences walking out mid-screening. Even Dumbo outperformed it, and that elephant literally flew away from theaters. The second weekend was even worse. A 66% drop in ticket sales brought in only $14.2 million, dropping the film to second place behind A Hardworking Man, which had fewer theaters and no massive Disney marketing push. Comparatively, The Chosen, Last Supper, with only half the theaters, nearly outperformed Disney's iconic fairy tale remake. By March 30, 2025, Snow White's cumulative gross had barely reached $66.9 million, marking one of the most catastrophic flops in recent Disney history. Snow White grossed approximately $142.8 million worldwide, with $66.9 million from the United States and Canada and an additional $75.8 million from other territories. When I first ran the numbers, I couldn't believe the scale of the losses. Analysts now predict the movie will lose over $100 million, making this more than just a flop. It's the kind of disaster that has some questioning whether it should even exist in cinematic history. But the story doesn't end with financial failure. The third major factor in Rachel Zegler's career unraveling is reportedly her own mental state and addiction to controversy. Multiple crew members and co-stars have revealed that Rachel is struggling. She's seeking constant therapy due to the backlash from Snow White, worried about her career, and even though her Evita performance was celebrated, the moments when she broke down crying on stage reveal the depth of her emotional turmoil and how far she has fallen under the immense pressure of Hollywood and public scrutiny. Even after what should have been a triumphant Evita run, Rachel Zegler's behavior reportedly continued to spiral. Videos and reports show her breaking down and acting rudely toward co-stars and crew members, frequently lashing out at lighting technicians and staff just doing their jobs. Her intense focus on political activism is reportedly alienating former allies, with people who once supported her now stepping back because they cannot handle her constant need for drama and confrontation. The consequences could be severe. Following Disney's potential lawsuit, Rachel might face prison time or be forced to pay massive damages, marking a dramatic turning point in her career. The fallout is perhaps best illustrated by the shocking reception of Snow White itself. When Rachel attended a screening with friends, likely for moral support, the theater was so silent it reportedly felt like a private showing, with popcorn kernels cracking under the quiet. She even filmed herself buying tickets and posted it on Instagram, unintentionally turning the event into meme-worthy material that gave off the unmistakable impression of someone watching their own career unravel in real time. It was almost surreal watching Rachel Zegler try to embrace the controversy, acting as if she were in on the joke to make it seem cool. But instead, it only made the situation more laughable.
The most embarrassing part?
Before the premiere, she confidently declared that audiences would wait in line to see her movies. In reality, people lined up all right, but for anything except Snow White. And if you think she learned from the disaster, think again. Her reaction to the box office flop was delusional, confirming many people's worst suspicions about her character. She posted, "To everyone who hates when I win, the winged victory came to the Louvre in pieces and people still line up to see her. And I can only hope that despite my flaws and despite my cracks and my breaks, and there are many of them, that at every premiere and everything I do, people will wait in line to see." Reading that, it's hard not to drop your jaw. She was essentially claiming her movies are so irresistible that audiences must line up, all while theaters sat nearly empty. The delusion was so complete that she couldn't acknowledge reality, reinforcing the perception for many that Rachel had a serious narcissistic streak. Industry insiders say Hollywood is officially done with Rachel Zegler, and the evidence is overwhelming. Her post about Snow White seemingly trying to make the film about herself confirmed what many had suspected, and the consequences have been brutal. Rachel was reportedly set to voice a character in Toy Story 5, but that role was cut. A rumored starring role in the next Pirates of the Caribbean movie?
Gone.
Even a potential horror trilogy with Blumhouse Productions that might have saved her career was completely cancelled. Disney quietly shelved their live-action Tangled remake, in which Rachel had been the top choice to play Rapunzel, clearly unwilling to take another risk after Snow White's disaster. Adding to the shock, Disney is now reportedly pulling Snow White from shelves and screens across the country, signaling just how serious the studio is about distancing itself from the flop and its fallout. Disney is reportedly trying to erase Snow White from history as if it never existed, and the magnitude of the failure is staggering. The studio poured billions of dollars into the project, with a reported production and marketing budget of $370 million, aiming to reintroduce a beloved classic to modern audiences while giving it a fresh moral and political perspective. Yet, despite the massive investment, the film bombed spectacularly. Theaters that were supposed to be packed with eager audiences sat eerily empty, a ghostly reminder of what was supposed to be a major cinematic event. The disappointment was felt not just in ticket sales, but across all facets of Disney's empire, from merchandising to future planning. Plans for upcoming reboots that were already in discussion, controversial projects that might have pushed the boundaries of Disney storytelling, have reportedly been scrapped entirely, signaling from risky creative ventures to the Snow White disaster. Merchandise that was meant to capitalize on the film's hype also failed to sell, adding another layer of embarrassment to the studio's woes. Dolls, t-shirts, mugs, and other branded items were shipped in limited batches with the goal of creating scarcity and driving consumer demand. However, months after the release, store shelves remained stocked, untouched, and unsold. Disney, usually a master of merchandising and franchise exploitation, is reportedly unable to even give this merchandise away, highlighting how deeply the failure of the movie has permeated its operations. When a Disney princess reboot can't move toys, mugs, and clothing designed for eager fans, it's a rare sign that something has gone catastrophically wrong. The brand, which has built decades of goodwill and a multi-generational fanbase, took an unprecedented hit. As if the failure weren't already humiliating enough, the timing of the live-action Minecraft movie added to the embarrassment. Released just weeks after Snow White, it dominated the box office despite being a film that many would not have expected to compete with a Disney princess blockbuster. The movie, centered around pixelated blocks, zombies, and chaos, featured Jack Black shouting into a microphone and leaned into a completely different, quirky style. And yet, it crushed Disney at the box office, proving that audience interest and entertainment value don't always align with budget or brand legacy. The fact that a movie about blocks outperformed one of Disney's most expensive live-action princess reboots sent shockwaves through Hollywood, making the Snow White failure a case study in how even iconic properties can falter spectacularly under the wrong conditions. For Rachel Zegler, the lead actress, the stakes have never been higher, and the fallout from this project has been equally catastrophic. Questions now swirl around whether this marks the end of a Hollywood career, or if there is a way for her to recover from this royal disaster. The combination of poor box office performance, harsh critical reviews, and widespread public ridicule has left her reputation in tatters. The narrative surrounding Rachel is complicated further by leaked Disney documents, which reportedly detailed just how much the studio lost due to her political statements and controversial actions during the film's promotion. These internal reports, when they emerge publicly, are likely to paint a picture of a multimillion-dollar failure tied not only to creative missteps but also to public relations miscalculations that have ripple effects far beyond the film itself. Industry insiders suggest that this is more than just a single flop. It is a cautionary tale of how quickly Hollywood can turn on a rising star. Rachel, who once enjoyed widespread acclaim for her talent and her breakout performances, now faces scrutiny from every angle. The combination of high expectations, political controversy, and public missteps has created an almost perfect storm for her career, one that might take years to recover from, if recovery is even possible. Hollywood, which can be both forgiving and opportunistic, is watching closely to see whether she can navigate this fallout, recalibrate her public image, and regain the trust of both studios and audiences alike. Meanwhile, Disney itself is reportedly taking extreme measures to distance the brand from the Snow White disaster. From scrapping future projects to pulling merchandise and halting promotional campaigns, the company is attempting to minimize further financial and reputational damage. The goal appears to be not just to cut losses, but to erase the memory of the film from public consciousness, a move almost unheard of for a property with such a beloved legacy. For a studio so meticulous about brand management, the fact that they are acting so decisively and harshly underscores just how serious the failure is. Despite the chaos, there is still an appetite for more information and insight into how this debacle unfolded. Leaked documents, insider testimonies, and financial breakdowns promise to reveal the full extent of the losses and the specific ways in which Rachel Zegler's actions and statements contributed to them. For observers of Hollywood, the story is both fascinating and cautionary, a vivid example of how talent, politics, and public perception can collide in spectacular, career-defining ways. Ultimately, the Snow White disaster raises a pressing question. Can Rachel Zegler recover from this colossal setback, or is this truly the end of her Hollywood ascent? As audiences, fans, and industry insiders continue to digest the fallout, the coming weeks and months may provide some answers. And for those watching closely, the leaked Disney information promises to be a bombshell, revealing the financial impact of the controversy and the scale of the studio's reaction. One thing is clear: the Snow White story is far from over, and the consequences for both Disney and Rachel are likely to be felt for years to come.